going into the later stage of the game. So Beishang will be a huge player to keep your eye on in this game.
Beishang gonna be, I mean, he's always a player to keep your eye on when WE are playing.
That's true.
He's one of the big playmakers, and his champion pool certainly matches it as he brings the Echo back into the Rift and brings the style into the gameplay as well. The question will be, can WE find themselves with early advantages once again? Because in game number 2, they fell behind early, and it felt like they were just grasping at straws the rest of the game.
True. When we look at the kind of very early game, BLG do have the slight advantage having the Jarvan, who can again go for level 2, level 3 ganks, to where Echo and AP junglers in general typically want to get their jungle item before they can start clearing fast and getting onto the map. So the breaking point for WE we really want to look out for is levels like 4, 5, 6, and it's a lot more about chaotic skirmishes with Echo and Pantheon.
And that's what I want to see. That's the kind of League of Legends that I like to watch. WE, they've become one of my favorite teams in the LPL just as a spectator because they do love to brawl. They do love to find these level 6 fights, fight around the dragons, fight around the Rift Heralds. And with Beishang, I'm going to pick like Echo. Once he does hit that level 6, you expect that kind of action, but it will be a little slow before that. You typically don't see much out of Echo before the level 6 mark.
Nope, you don't. Again, his early jungle clear is very slow, and there's that Dark Harvest that we talked about. We do see some Echoes in solo queue go more towards things like the Conqueror or Electrocute, but Beishang all about snowballing with this rune. And just kind of moving over to the side of WE. We talked about early mid-game skirmish is the name of the game for WE. For BLG, it's all about full-on 5v5 team compositions. We don't want a 2v2 or a 3v3. We want R5 against your 5. We saw how that worked out last game with the Maokai. You have so much wombo combo coming out from the side of BLG. All about those numbers.
They really are, and they certainly have been. When you look at their match history, that is the way they like to play. And their wins on the board earlier on in the season, a lot of it was about the macro player, right? Playing around the map and only finding the fights once you could get into those 5v5 situations and you knew that you had the advantages.
BLG has always been one of our, again, even just ignoring game time, our slower teams in the way they like to play. They're a lot more about these objective skirmishes.
Teachamo pretty far pushed right now, but Beishang, I said he's going to wait till 6. Not if Teachama's in trouble. Beishang comes with his cape on, the superhero that Teachama needs. There's a stun. Fofo doesn't need to do anything because Meteor is here to save the day. 2v2 in the bottom lane. Exhaust down, but Shinmo ignited. One more auto. Not quite there, and Shinmo walks away. Jomung in trouble now as Jin Zhao doesn't quite have the damage to finish it. Needs to be careful for a double up. He's not going to find it. Oh, Beishang, he's in trouble now. Rolls away from the knockup, though. Meteor gets the Z-Drive resonance and walks away.
So we have a lot to cover. Back in the mid lane, Teachama just being a bit disrespectful, walking too far forward. We did say that BLG's composition naturally...
Shinmo's in trouble. Flash forwards from Jomung, but minions block the Q. It's 1-for-1, missing in a 1v1 with Jin Zhao, but you don't win that one. Not with the minions there. Jin Zhao going to chase Nautilus out of the lane.
I would love to see the earlier skirmish, how Leona got chunked so low, but we did talk about Leona's much tankier than Nautilus. WE's bot lane is focusing on Shinmo, which is giving Jin Zhao the freedom to just hit Jomung, and again, you feel very good as BLG having that kill on your AD carry.
And, you know, without a minion wave there, that's great for Jomung, but because he flashes forward for the Q, but pretty much all of that Acanthian Rain landed on the minions, Shinmo walks away.
BLG just coming out ahead in that bot lane skirmish. Again, very different from how we set up this game with WE's bot lane being their main focal point. But right now, ADD just farming that wave. He did take Grasp of the Undying, which is a lot more of a lane-focused rune for the Maokai. Ooh, great twisted advance, dodging that Q.
Yeah, really nice dodge from him. ADD does get a cheeky extra hit in, but ADD could be in trouble here because Teachama's moving up as well. They are going to focus on towards the likes of Morgan. ADD has his flash, has twisted advance. This is a very slow minion wave, though. They're trying to eventually shove it under the tower. Beishang having to use some abilities just to force the issue here. ADD, twisted advance. There's the flash as well. Infernal Chains will pull him back. And Morgan finishes the kill. Beishang just about gets away with it.
This is a standard WE play using their Pantheon pressure to look for ganks and dives across the map, but it took so long. He's losing so much in the mid lane, even letting Fofo get a plate and giving BLG full vision on the bot side for this Ocean Drake.
We'll be able to grab a tower plate for himself as well. You mentioned the Ocean Drake. It's up on the map. Both teams, they'll definitely be setting their eyes towards the bottom side.
And talking about the bottom side, we see BF Sword to a Cull for Kai'Sa.
Yeah.
So Jinja in a really good spot.
It ain't pretty. It ain't pretty for the side of Jomung. And when you talk about the dragon fights, that's going to make such a huge difference. Kai'Sa with a Cull, going to have basically no impact. The only way that WE can get this dragon is if they have map control of the area.
We do see that neither top laner has TP, so if it does come down to a Drake fight, they won't be involved. And kind of looking at setting up for what could happen, right now Teacherma is our player to watch on the side of WE. He does have that serrated Dirk for his item. And we just talked about Jinzhao with the BF sword, so both teams having very different damage sources.
You see Beisheng not interested in this dragon. He doesn't care about the first Ocean Drake of the game. He wants to snowball Morgan. He wants to get more gold onto this Aatrox.
We even talked about how they probably wouldn't focus topside against Smaokai. It would be a lot more impactful.
Oh, ADD, you're in trouble, my friend. Dodges away from the stun, though. That's going to be the Z-Drive Residence. Can they finish the kill? Nature's Grasp gets Teachama under the turret, but the Comet Spear finishes the kill. ADD, he just wants to play League of Legends, man.
ADD's Twisted Advance was so beautiful. 2 times in a row now, but WE coming out ahead. Again, they are the team with pressure in this kind of mid lane 2v2 at this point, like we talked about with the Pantheon. Just very easy for them to roam up. But BLG still, you're 3 kills to 2. You have the Ocean Drake, and we talked about this game, once it starts getting to the 5v5 stage, you should feel like you're in a pretty decent place. For WE, though, you're snowballing the aspects of the map that you want to, and you still do have the scaling for Kai'Sa.
Here we go. Teachama's not done just yet, and he finds Shinmo to start off. The Leona is very tanky, though, and still won't go down. Kill for Jomung. Now comes the jungler, though, because Meteor is onto Teachama. Fofo's arriving, and Equalizer is available. It's not going to land onto anyone, and Jomung's gone so deep. I don't know about that one, man. Jomung with some really interesting plays.
We saw Jomung last game with the Kalista. This game with the Kai'Sa just keeps going in too far. We've talked about Jomung is still a pretty inexperienced player, so, you know, he does tend to make mistakes from time to time, and missing is kind of the player in this bot lane to watch. But after a great play coming out from Teacherma, Jomung just throwing it all out the window.
And I mean, we can take another look at the fight. Look at the killer instinct from Jomung.
We're watching. But still, Teacherma jumping into that fight was huge. We talked about he's a very supportive player. But here, Jomung walking back, trying to get away from this rumble, goes too far forward. Jinzhao does have the heal, and it just doesn't work out.
And the thing is, again, the second time this game, he goes deep, hits the Q. There's too many targets nearby. You haven't got the leveled up Q just yet, so you're not going to be able to just assassinate. I feel like Jomung is playing this late game Kai'Sa, but we're not at the late game yet.
It is Jomung's second time picking up the Kai'Sa, so he has played it once before. But WE, once again, using tempo to go and fight for this Rift Herald.
Meteor might get stunned up here. Teachama already used the Aegis Assault, so he's just going to get popped up. He's not going to be tanky without his E available. Now ADD arriving as well. Fofo flashes on forward, gets to slow. They're looking for Jomung. Doesn't have any summoners available. The knock-up from Meteor. Red buff will finish it. No, Fofo wants it with a rocket. Morgan, nothing he can do about it.
Teacherma did not look like he was on the same page as his team. Pretty much just walked up to BLG by himself. It was very easy for BLG to pick up that kill. And taking Jomung on the end of that, now BLG are the ones who have pressure.
Yeah, the Herald did go the way of WE, so Beisheng will have that. But ultimately, especially considering how much early pressure went up towards this top side, there's not that significant of an advantage up on the side of Morgan right now. Only 10 CS and 1 kill. And now Meteor wants to make sure that that's even less than it was. Ward gonna deny his presence in the top lane, though.
Meteor and top lane. There isn't a better duo in the world. We always know where he's going to look. So ADD getting some help, going to be able to just back off and catch his wave. But WE using this Herald towards the bot side, getting gold onto Jomung hopefully to get him ahead so when he jumps in, he just doesn't die.
Fingers crossed. The Acathian Rain needs to be leveled up as well because he's relying on that ability and it's not working out for him so far. We'll be able to get through a lot of these plates. I don't know if they'll quite finish it off. I think they will with an extra minion wave arriving there, but Shinmo and Jin Zhao going to be forcing the issue here. And we'll get one more plate, but the tower will not go down.
WE going to be able to walk away for free, but it does look like BLG are setting up for a play on the mid lane with Meteor heading over.
Oh, World Ender comes out. ADD doesn't have any mana to work with, and Morgan won't go for the dive. Doesn't pull the trigger just yet. I say that. I was very wrong. He's going for the dive. ADD's in trouble. Flash away from the Maokai. Equalizer in the bottom side of the map is Teachamar on the front line right now. Hook onto Fofo, but Teachamar's fallen already. Bullet time is going to finish missing off. Although the stopwatch will keep him safe. Jiaomeng into the back line once again, and he goes down once again. Beisheng now finds himself alone as Fofo wants to finish the kill. Will be slowed up by the Time Winder. Beisheng walks away.
2 for 1 on the bot side of the map, and it looks like ADD didn't end up dying topside. We were just talking about how Meteor was making his way up. BLG using that hot pot combo very well and getting 2 for 1.
Yeah, and man, Jiaomeng is just not having a good game. 1 and 4 at the 11-minute mark. It is really rough, and I feel like he's already in these rough situations, and he's trying to make the best out of it.
And here we just see very good use of Cataclysm by Meteor setting up the ultimate coming out from Rumble. And then Jin Zhao being able to follow up with a bullet time, zoning off Beisheng and giving BLG time to kill Jiaomeng on the back end. But still, Meteor did end up going down as a result.
Really rough start to the game here for the side of WE. And it's concerning, especially if you're Teachamar right now, because Pantheon is one of these picks that does really well when you're ahead. Snowballs like crazy, but if you start to fall behind, can really struggle to have an impact.
And it's just a lot harder when you are the team that has to try and get onto the back line and the enemy team is kind of okay to play these front-to-back team fights. Kai'Sa has fallen so far behind, she will pretty much be a non-factor until the 30, 35-minute point.
This Drake still going to be looking to go the way of WE. They're getting collapsed on. Jin Zhao not with his team right now. Beisheng relatively low. Nature's Grasp actually used very early on. It's just going to be enough to secure this dragon for the side of BLG. Nice objective play from them.
BLG fine just taking it slow and use that Maokai ultimate to force WE off the objective. Again, we talked about how in these 5v5 team fights, they are superior. So WE recognizing, hey, this isn't the kind of fight we want to win. We want some chaos with our Echo, with our Pantheon, getting onto Jin Zhao and Fofo. That couldn't happen, so nice rotation coming out from BLG.
And I want to point something out on the scoreboard here, because if you look on in a vacuum at the top half of the scoreboard right now, it doesn't feel that favored for BLG. Sure, they've got the dragons. That's about it. Beisheng going to smite away the blue buff. I think he might have sacrificed his life for this one, though. Pull onto Meteor, but we're going to be going off for a massive fight. Jiaomeng caught up in the Cataclysm. There's already one kill going down onto the side of missing. Jiaomeng falls. This is all going BLG's favor. With the health bars are low, Fofo might fall as Teachamar trying to finish this one off. The stun not there. Fofo will walk away with his life somehow. And Beisheng, it all looked like it might go their way, but then it all fell apart.
BLG blew all of their key ultimates early trying to pick off Beisheng. It didn't work. It looked like WE were going to be able to come away with that team fight, but the strength of BLG's comp is just too much, and ADD and Meteor doing so much in these team fights.
It's such a rough fight as well to watch, but I want to revisit my point that I made just before that. Look where the gold is, all on the carries of BLG.
So we see Beisheng going for the steal on the blue buff, getting caught out by BLG, and them wasting so many of their teamfight ultimates on this. Jin Zhao having to back off, but keep your eyes right now onto the likes of Shinmo, onto ADD, just taking so much of WE's damage, and Fofo somehow being able to survive, just kiting out all of Teachamar's skill shots, and they're able to clean up very easy with Jin Zhao being able to come back into that fight.
Honestly, Fofo has been the highlight player of this series for me. He's played so well in all 3 games, and the kiting away, as you said, at the end of that fight, dodging the Comet Spear from Teachamar.
And this is a very different style champion from those first two games, too.
It really is. The Rumble coming on through for Fofo, and it's really, really working out. But the gold lead, it's only just 1,000 ahead for BLG as they look to get this Herald, and will be able to do so. But when you look at the scoreboard, it's all in the pockets of Fofo and Jin Zhao. They're the ones that are starting to ramp up. Can't say the same for WE.
You were also pointing out before that fight that the overall gold doesn't really tell the story of this game accurately, to where, yeah, we've seen WE make some aggressive plays, but they've always kind of botched the execution a bit to where BLG were able to get more off the map.
So now we're going to start to see some towers drop. Herald dropped up in the top side. First tower of the game did go the way of WE, but it will now be answered in the top side as BLG find one. They want to push forward with this Herald. They've got 4 members strong in the top side jungle. Beisheng here to answer, and the rest of the squad from WE moving over as well.
An important thing to note too is that Teacher Ma hasn't even finished one full item yet, going that serrated Dirk and then trying to get his Black Cleaver, to where Fofo has had this Leandres now for a good few minutes and is already halfway to his Zhonya's.
Yeah, this is one of the downsides of going for multiple items early on, but this explains a lot of why the gold isn't so heavily in favor of BLG. Ton of plates went the way of WE early on, and it's made this early lead for BLG feel a little bit less substantial.
It comes down to the fact that we saw WE just really abusing ADD in the top lane and funneling all that plate gold onto Morgan. And BLG saying, hey, it's okay, you can go do that. We're going to get Vision Bot. We're going to take Dragon. We're going to do other things.
And I want to revisit the bottom side of the map here when we look at the scoreboard, because Jin Zhao versus Jiaomeng, it's not looking so hot for this Kai'Sa. And I feel like I say this every single time we see a Kai'Sa in the LPL. It just doesn't seem to work out. And here especially, Jiaomeng not having a good game. 1-5 right now, up against the likes of Jin Zhao, who's 3-0-4 on this Misfortune, a much more standard meta pick.
True, and going the Manamune instead of a newly popular build with the Essence Reaver, and a lot more going towards cooldown. So he's even ramping up slower than, you know, a Kai'Sa otherwise could. But these slow picks in LPL just don't seem to work that well as compared to, you know, these full-on aggressive.
Big dive in the mid lane, though. Equalizer comes through. Jiaomeng surviving, but Fofo dives on in and gets a double kill for himself. This is all going the way of BLG, because Jin Zhao is untouched in the backline, and Morgan cannot survive the onslaught. Walks away, but is finished off for a triple for Fofo. And BLG, who thinks that they're a slow macro team? These guys are forcing the fights.
A decisive dive coming out from BLG. Who is this team? We see a great equalizer from Fofo. We talked about the Leandres and the damage he has, and Jin Zhao just able to do his job untouched.
Oh, we actually get a bit of an answer coming through. ADD walks away, though. WE needed something there, and they just can't find it. Teacher Ma onto the back. He wants to make the play. Fofo, very low. The Comet Spear on cooldown, though. They can't finish the kill. Fofo survives. Everyone walks away yet again. Beisheng, though, he's not done. Neither's Teacher Ma. In they go. Fofo will drop finally, but Teacher Ma answered for. Void Seeker goes wide. Missing has gone too deep. And everything just traded back and forth here.
That first time when Teacher Ma tried to flank, we saw the damage.
Oh, Jiaomeng, what are you doing, man? I mean, that was...
I feel like the best way to sum that up is just what you said. Jiaomeng, what are you doing, man? All series.
I don't know, man. The Kai'Sa not working. Jiaomeng really having a rough game for himself. Another Dragon goes the way of BLG. And, you know, I like the attempt from WE. I like the gumption of trying to make these counter plays, trying to find something off the back of the fight, but it's just not working out.
I do want to point out, this is why we saw WE start playing around their bot lane more, because when they stopped playing around their bot lane, I remember games like against FPX where we saw Jiaomeng and Missing on things like the Senna Tahm Kench, like the Varus Tahm Kench, where Missing's not on a playmaker, and Jiaomeng and Missing just end up going, getting caught out, getting dove over and over again, getting ganked, not positioning well in team fights. WE changed their playstyle to give them resources, so then when they made these aggressive plays, they had the gold to do it. They had the items to do it. But we saw them this game play towards Morgan, and that's where it all went wrong.
which breaks my heart because I like it when they play towards Morgan. I'm still dreaming of the first couple of series of the LPL, but you know what? Jomong's still the highest gold on the team somehow at 1-7-5. I'm not really quite sure how he's managed to achieve that, but there you go.
You know, that last conversation also brings up that interesting conversation of what's better, covering your, like, you know, propping up your weakness or, you know, multiplying your strength. And for WE, it has been propping up their weakness.
It has been, and BLG now, weird to say this, but they're the ones on a timer. The late game, I would say, favors the likes of WE with the Kai'Sa pick. But I don't know. Am I wrong on that one?
It all comes down to dynamic, because if it keeps being these front-to-back team fights, even with the late game scaling from Kai'Sa, if you land the big wombo combo at any point in the game, BLG win, right? But if we are able to get, again, more of a chaotic skirmish with Missing and Morgan in front of Jomong, who's able to deal DPS, Teachermon Beisheng diving onto Jinzhao and zoning him off, WE win. So it all comes down to who executes better in these team fights.
Well, if it's down to execution, I'm not going to lie, I'm favoring BLG right now, which is not what I would have said if you asked me before this series started.
No, not at all. We came into this with the story that this is BLG's time to continuously prove that they're a top team. Right now they're sitting at 5th. They could have secured themselves the 4th place spot in the league with this win, and BLG completely turning it on its head, finding out, hey, if we lose game 1, that's the actual answer. But no, in all seriousness, Fofo showing up huge this series.
Maybe that's the answer. Just lose game 1 and then everything is fine and dandy. BLG, still the gold lead, not that significant. 3,000, I mean, 3,000 at 20 minutes in a vacuum is a pretty significant gold lead, but when you consider how hard teams snowball in the LPL, you look at a 3,000 at 20 minutes, it doesn't feel like that big of a deal, but it's where the gold is.
And
look
Soul
at
Point.
Fofo. They're also on Soul Point, you're absolutely right. Fofo 8-1-5, sorry. He is absolutely massive in this game.
Rumble right now at the strongest point he can be, picking up that Zanya's, you know, being against a triple AD team comp coming out from WE, and even Jinzhao right now being on a very hard-hitting 2-item spike.
Missing just about gets away with his life, but the Solar Flare, they are committing to this Nautilus right now. Still has his flash available. Beisheng has to use his ult early on. Fofo could be caught. Teachermar stunned. They are going to try and finish off Fofo, but in the meantime, everybody falls. It's going to be one traded on back, but Jomong doesn't have the damage. And now Teachermar, he's going in with Morgan. Maybe they can turn this one around. They've got the bruisers to do it. They're focusing Shinmo, though. It's not the ideal target. Now onto the likes of Meteor, and Morgan's going huge. Meteor has to try and get away, but the knockups are going to be there. Flash comes on through, flag and drag. Suddenly, everything turns around. WE find a fight.
BLG looks so good going into that fight with Beisheng and Teachermar jumping in at opposite times. Jinzhao wasn't even able to get off the bullet time. That fight went by so quickly, I don't even know how Morgan got on them and deleted that backline.
Let's take another look, because everything was committed onto Missing right at the start.
And we talked about that this is down to execution. You want to see Echo and Pantheon jump in together. Beisheng jumps in a bit too early, has to ult away. Now Teachermar's left by himself. But we do see Beisheng still over the wall. Jinzhao flashing in aggressively. And now let's keep our eyes on to Morgan. Comes in off the edge of that fight. And oh, Jinzhao just walks into the Aatrox. Great flash from Morgan securing that kill. But a bit of mis-execution coming out from BLG. But still fantastic play from Morgan to, you know, capitalize on that.
Really nice stuff from Morgan. And that's what we want to see. He was given the carry.
He was given the resources.
Yeah, he's living up to that in these fights. And I'm glad, because damn, do WE need something in these fights. Morgan might be the answer. And now, this is Soul Point for BLG. A very important fight for WE as Beisheng is looking for the flank. Parallel Convergence will be available. So is his Chrono Break. In he goes, looking for Fofo. Shinmo stun. Oh no! Knocked up and taken down. Now Shinmo, what a bullet time onto Morgan. Barely survives with his life. ADD flashes for the kill. And BLG find the perfect fight for themselves. Jomong has nowhere to go. A 9th kill for him as BLG double WE's kills.
Great flag and drag coming out from Meteor. We saw Beishong wasn't even allowed to use his ultimate, set up a numbers advantage very early on. And again, we talked about it. This comp needs to delete the carries. They weren't able to get on the carries, and BLG just played better.
And now they're rewarded with a Baron. Forget Soul Point. They'll just send the jungler to do that one by himself. And while that's going on, they walk on up towards the Baron. Missing once a 1v1. He's on the Nautilus. Looks to deny Soul Point, and they will be able to do so. A little bit greedy here from the side of BLG. They do get the Baron, but with everyone TPing in, maybe Soul Point can be denied. Teleport from the side of BLG, though. They recommit to the play. Beishong is here. Maybe WE have bitten off too much here. They go for the re-engage on the fight, but BLG are here to answer. Fofo knocked up. There's very little follow-up, though, missing, forced out of the play. Beishong, chrono break early on in the fight. Morgan now chased away as Teachermal goes on to Fofo, can't finish off the kill, and now he's forced away as well. Meteor back onto the Dragon in the longest fight ever, but Jin Zhao finishes off the mid laner, and the Dragon goes down. Soul the way of BLG. Beishong chased out, and nothing that WE can get.
BLG picking up that Mountain Soul, just making that team fight last long enough to where the members of WE got split up. And we talked about it. Name of the game for WE is coordination. They're not coordinating their engages together and going in at the same time. BLG will always benefit. And now we're 7 out of nowhere. We were just 2K gold ahead a few minutes ago. 7K gold Baron and Mountain Soul out of nowhere.
And it was honestly WE snowballing it for BLG, like trying to commit to that Mountain Soul there, trying to commit to denying that at least. I don't know if that was the right decision, because ultimately BLG, not afraid, they answer it with their own teleport.
WE did need to try something. BLG had just gotten the Baron, and we talked about, in my opinion, in the LPL, there's much, not even my opinion, we've seen it in LPL time and time again. Front-to-back team fights are much easier to execute than these comps that really need to, again, get onto the back line and get onto your carries. So BLG just playing their comp to a T, and now finally looks like they're going to be able to pick up a win after the break.
In we go, Shinmo with the Zenith Blade, but it's just going to be to zone things off, take the mid lane inhibitor, now rotate elsewhere towards the rest of the map. ADD goes in, but he is completely invincible on this Maokai. Literally not losing health. Look how massive he is. Now Nature's Grasp, bullet time missing, will fall. And with the support dropped, Beishong jumped on by Meteor. Forced out the chrono break, but ADD won't let him go anywhere. This Maokai pick is working wonders. I never thought I'd say those words. But BLG will walk this one home. The curse is well and truly broken. BLG win a 3-game series. All they had to do was lose game 1 after all. They're on to the Nexus, and they take down WE.